All right, Adam, spring football is over. The spring game today, an actual football game, and the gold team kind of destroyed the black team today. The Sam Neuer and Tyler Lytle led team won this one today. So your impressions?
Well, first off, you can really see the offense has more depth on this football team than the defense does. There's a bigger drop-off with the defense from the first team to the second team. And obviously it doesn't help those guys when a Mustafa Johnson's on the sideline. And they really need some reinforcements on that defensive line, which are coming this summer. But you really saw the depth at receiver and running back show up today. Daniel Arias, some big catches. Maurice Bell's a guy that we kind of forget about sometimes. He came out there and made some nice plays. Dimitri Stanley, who we talked about, looked good with running with the black squad. So it was more individual players. I think a lot of what we saw today, obviously, you got to take with a grain of salt. And Steven Montez in spring games don't mix very well.
No, they really don't. And he didn't make excuses. He came out and said, "Hey, look, there's something. I just don't play. I'm just up and down in spring games." And he goes, "I don't know whether it's the condensed playbook or whatever, but he forced some balls today and it didn't have his best game, or best day. But it sounds like that was kind of an anomaly from this spring, and kind of like it's been the last couple of years. We've heard a lot of good things out of the first 14, and then he gets out here and doesn't do as well. But fortunately, he plays usually much better on Saturdays in the fall. So, but the other two quarterbacks, Sam Neuer looked really good today. He put some balls on the money. I thought Tyler Lytle played well. It helped. You mentioned the drop off to the second defense. I think it helps they're going against those guys. But boy, that Sam Neuer and Daniel Arias connection was pretty impressive today.
They did. I'm not saying that I have a good arm, but if I could just throw the ball up to Daniel Arias, I might be able to complete a couple passes. But no, Sam Neuer, this is the Sam Neuer that we saw early in his career and thought he was really going to progress and push for a starting job at some point. That still could happen. It has not ever translated to game days. We've talked ad nauseum about the fact he's been put into bad positions. But if you came out to Folsom Field today or watched it on the Pac-12 Network, you saw some of the physical tools that he has. He's got a little moxie to him, too. And so that backup quarterback position, I would imagine, is going to go right up until the season opener because Tyler Lytle has a good arm too, and I think this offense suits Tyler Lytle more so than the previous one did.
Yeah, and going back to some of the injury stuff on defense, credit Tyson Summers. He came out, didn't make excuses. You asked him about that, and he said, "Hey, we got to play with who we got," and he didn't make any excuses whatsoever. He was upset with the number of points given up, which any defensive coordinator would when you see those kind of point totals. But your overall impression of the defense?
Yeah, I think the main thing that stood out to me was watching Carson Wells with his hand in the ground. That's something that he did back in high school when he was in Florida, so pretty natural for him to do that. And that changes your gap responsibilities as a defense. So it's pretty dramatic, the differences in terms of the scheme defensively. And if you're going to have, and I know Carson Wells is more of an outside linebacker, but you're going to need some of those defensive linemen coming in to be ready to play. But that was the main thing that stood out to me. I wouldn't freak out too much. Again, there was some bodies down defensively, and I think that first team group, which basically won for the gold team, right?
Yeah.
And Mekhi Blackman really showed up today. And I know his pick six was against Josh Golden, but I remember Ashley Ambrose, the former cornerbacks coach, telling me that in his first camp here at CU last August, he had more picks than any other cornerback. So I think he's made a pretty strong case, and I know Chris Miller is coming back, but I think you've got three really capable bodies at cornerback now with him emerging.
Yeah, and I talked to Travaris Tillman earlier this week, and he mentioned Mekhi and said that guy's really coming on, and despite his size, playing really well. So Mekhi looked really good out there today. The other thing, real quick, is the running back position, and there's a lot of talk about that. They don't have any running backs. They don't have any experience. They've got running backs. I mean, they've got 4 or 5 guys out there that can run the football. Jaron Mangum looked pretty good. Joe Davis looked pretty good out here today as well.
Yeah, the biggest disappointment for me was just not seeing more of Alex Fontenot. I guess Jay Johnson mentioned that they've had some guys banged up in that group, so maybe that was the case. There's not a whole lot separating those guys, and I think some people might freak out that there's not a Philip Lindsay or a Trayvon McMillan, but this isn't going back 4 or 5 years ago when Christian Powell was their lead back. They're going to have a talented guy in that role. We saw a little glimpse of why Jaron Mangum had 47 scholarship offers coming out of high school. He's going to be pretty good here.
Yes, we saw some good, saw some bad. I mean, the spring game, you take it with a grain of salt. But boy, this is the end of spring. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up? I mean, we've done this 15 practices now, but anything else you want to get to?
Well, Darren Cheverine was very proud. He called the plays for the gold team today, so his career as a play caller is alive.
Not done,
it's not done yet. But no, I mean, you definitely again want to take what you saw here with a grain of salt. But
Yeah.
the key is, I think, and Mel Tucker's been honest. The fact that when he didn't like what he saw in a practice, he was very honest about it. I would imagine, and I can't speak for him, but I would imagine there's a little bit of a surprise with some of these coaches coming from the SEC that they don't have as much top-end talent as they're used to working with. But you can really tell genuinely when you talk to these coaches that they like this group's ability to buy into what they're doing. And it hasn't been kind of a give and take. And they're going to need some attrition, but I don't expect much bad attrition to happen from now until camp. I think these players want to win. You know, it's been one bowl game in 11 years, and I think they're hungry to finally, get some success, and they see Mel Tucker and the staff as a group that can get them there.
Yeah, no question. I talked to Jalen Harris real quick after this, and he's a new guy, obviously came from Auburn. He said he sees a totally different program from when he got here in January. I know he's new, but a lot's changed in 4 months. He said, we've definitely got the message from Mel Tucker, and it sounds like a different program. So I think all in all, the first spring under Mel Tucker went pretty well.
Yeah, and now recruiting, the coaches hit the road on Monday, and it never stops for these guys. And as Mel Tucker said, you can make a really big jump in the summer. So anxious to see what we see and hear from these guys when we reconvene in late July. Well, you and I will reconvene at some point in the offseason. We've been doing this 15 times over the last several weeks. So thanks for watching, and Adam, we'll see you at some point this summer. Sounds good. We'll see you.